Darren. We're so happy to have you here today on the Rising Strong show, season 2. It's wonderful to have, you with us. Thank you for agreeing to be with us today. So would like to start with you just, telling us about yourself and your immigrant journey in Canada.
Thank you, first of all, to you, Ola, for inviting me to be on today's show. Thank you to Rising Strong as well. I think this is a great platform that's going to allow young professionals, but also, like you said, different people from different backgrounds to come and speak to their journeys, and then also to sort of inspire people. I think that's the essence. So in terms of speaking on my journey, so I'm not an immigrant, but I am an international student. So maybe speaking to that perspective might be best. So in terms of how that has been coming in 2022, but officially starting at the University of Waterloo in 2020, it's been great. It's obviously been a huge cultural shift from what I was used to, because I grew up in Uganda. Uganda is all I know. Obviously, traveling to different other countries, but settling into a new country, getting into the culture, mixing with people from different cultures has been great. I won't say it hasn't come with its challenges. Obviously it has, but navigating that through having different people, peers, different communities, different family here as well, aunties, uncles, has really helped and guided me throughout that journey. And I'm forever grateful to all the different people that have helped me through that. And it's been 2 years now. I think I'm a bit more confident, but I don't really think that I will ever have this full confidence that, okay, this is it. I think I'll always have that understanding of, okay, yes, I'm in Canada, but Canada's not really home. Home will always be in Uganda, but trying to navigate is always going to be something that I strive towards becoming better at.
Right. That's thank you for sharing all of that. That's really interesting. And one thing that a number of things caught my attention actually. You did mention that you started officially with the University of Waterloo in 2020.
Yes.
But you only came here in 2022.
Yes.
I'm guessing that's a COVID thing.
That's a COVID issue.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
so you spent your first 2 years.
First entire 2 years in obviously online studying. Obviously it was relatively difficult because you're online, and I think for all the people that started in 2020, we have the same growing sentiment that it was hard to find friends that you would connect with, because you would have group work, but you just come to the group work, meet, and then people will be like, okay, because you're in different time zones. So it'd be hard to really form genuine connections. And when I did come, I came and I went straight into my first co-op program for the first 4 months. So I was introduced straight into the working scene.
Wow.
And then 4 months later, that's when I said, okay, that's the first time I went to actually physically be at the University of Waterloo.
Oh my, what a journey for a young person particularly. Wow. And did you have any work experience from Uganda before you were thrown into the workspace here?
Not at this level, but I did. So I worked, when I was at Aga Khan, we had work placements. So we had 2 work placements, but they were really short work experiences. So I worked at a school, actually, at a nursery school when I was in year 10 for about 2 weeks. Then after that nursery school, when I went to IB1, I worked at a Vision Group, which is a media company in Uganda. Then after graduating, after graduating from high school, I worked at Blue Crane Communication, which is an IT technology services company in Uganda. So, and they were really relatively short term. It wasn't a full 4-month paid work experience like the one that I had got.
Right, that's really interesting. Wow, I can imagine how, tough that would have been, trying to make all of those transitions. So now I'm curious, do you feel like any of those experiences with the other, jobs, short-term placements that you had back home in Uganda kind of impacted? Did you feel like they impacted your performance, or how you were able to fit into the space here in Canada for your co-op?
100%, yeah. I think they definitely did, because obviously when you are working, I didn't look at that work as just, we're going to have fun. It was a serious 8 o'clock, get up, go to work, 4 o'clock. They would give you the different requirements that you had to do for these different jobs, and that definitely helped, because then it allowed me to appreciate working, appreciate the people who do work, and sort of understand that I'm going to have to get into this role, so I need to learn how they do it, the discipline that is attached to it. And I think that helped me, because then when I came and I then started actually working and getting a pay from that work, I understood, obviously that hard work definitely matters, but obviously that discipline in understanding that you have to get up at this time, you have to work at this time. If they give you a task, you need to be able to execute it and get it done to the best of your potential. And then sort of the other key thing that I think it really helped me with was forming connections and working with people. Because when you're in school, I think it's a bit of a bubble, because obviously everyone is there to do one thing, which is to study. And obviously, yes, people have different backgrounds that they're coming from, but when you go into the workplace, you have different departments you're working with. You have different people with different motivations as to why they're there. So learning from different people, being in different departments and understanding that, I think also made me a better leader, but also a better person that understands the work environment.
I absolutely love it. Now I have to ask you, what are you studying at the University of Waterloo?
So the University of Waterloo, I'm doing an honors degree in biology, but I am specializing in bioinformatics.
Oh, right, bioinformatics.
Bioinformatics, yes.
Okay. Would you like to share a little bit more?
Yes, so the simplest way I can put it is basically how we can integrate biology and computer science into one. It is a strand of biotechnology, but a way in which computer science and the different learnings from computer science coupled with biology can sort of make processes a bit easier for people in the medical field, for example, or in the agricultural field and many other different fields.
Wow,
that's the simplest way I can explain it.
That's good. That makes it easy for me to understand, actually. So you did a good job of explaining that. So now I also have to ask you, I do know that you are involved in a number of other amazing, activities. Would you like to share more about all of those?
Yes. So I believe you're referring to the Young Guy Initiative. The Young Guy Initiative, what it is now, or what it has become, is sort of an initiative that is meant to represent the needs, interests, and aspirations of young people. And how we do that is in three different facets. One is the Young Guy Foundation, which is the non-profit that we have been running, my team and I, for 5 years now. So it's going to be our 5th year. But
before you came to Canada?
Before I came to Canada. Okay. So it's been 5 years running, but not as the Young Guy Foundation, but just as a foundation.
Right.
And then, so that's one strand of the initiative. The other strand is the podcast, the Young Guy International. It didn't start as a podcast. It had lots of different initial ideas behind how we wanted to change it, but with different things and different factors as young people, it was how to really execute. And then now the more recent one that is getting a bit more traction is Young and Restless, which is a youth sort of connecting and bridging the gap between young people, older people, and providing spaces for networking on different issues that young people are passionate about. So those three brought together serve the mission of the Young Guy Initiative, which is to represent simply needs, interests, and aspirations of young people. And
I love it. I absolutely love it. I love the sound of that. And I love the fact that it's been led by a young person.
Yeah.
I imagine your team is also full of young people, which is good. Which is good. That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing all of that. I think you've already answered this in terms of how your background and experiences from your home country kind of fit into your journey here as a young person. Is there anything else you'd like to share about that?
I think what I'd like to add on that, obviously, is that as young people, we often see many of these different journeys as, we're just doing it. But having that intentionality towards doing, the different things that you're involved in, helps you sort of appreciate, but then you actually begin to learn, and then you piece the different learnings into your own life, and then progress in the different things that you're doing. So I think as young people, we need to be intentional about the different things that we do in the different jobs that we do take up, and allow ourselves to learn from them. I think that's...
I love it. I absolutely love that. The fact that you mentioned that. Because even while you were talking, that something was going on in my mind, like, this is a very intentional person, so I like that you mentioned that, you identify that, because absolutely intentionality is key.
True.
But that gets me now to think, as a young person, the fact that you mentioned intentionality is great. And that gets me thinking, I can't believe that. Do I still identify as a young person? Of course, I'm a young person. A millennial young person, but a young person. Okay. But then I'm thinking that what then is the balance between intentionality, being intentional, and being able to still have fun and living in the moment? How do you strike that balance?
For me, I think it is, I don't put the two away from each other. So I don't put intentionality away from having fun. When we're having fun, we're intentional about having fun.
I love it. I love it.
When we're working, we're intentional about working. But then I like to couple the two, because if you don't love what you're doing, then it's going to be hard to really.
Yeah.
So I put the fun in the work that we're doing, so that even as we're doing it, we don't get tired, because there's this natural spark that we get that continues to allow you to push. Obviously, through that, you then allow yourself to have fun and be intentional as you're doing fun, because you understand why you're doing it, and you understand the feeling that you get from doing what you're doing.
I love it. I think, and everybody can identify with that. Everybody can relate to that and can take something from that. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. So my next question is, can you share any specific, challenges you have faced as a young person studying in Canada, and how you have navigated them? Also, if you can talk about any resources that you found very useful in navigating those challenges, that would be helpful.
I think one of the main challenges for me in particular has been finding communities that understand and appreciate you for who you are. When I came to Canada, it was hard to do that in the beginning. I just had family, which was great. But obviously, sometimes you want to go beyond that and explore and, find your other, maybe Ugandans that are in different communities. So because it was hard to do that in the beginning, I think it was a bit challenging, because obviously then you're looking for a piece that makes you feel like you are home. So I think for me that was one of the key things. I did keep in touch a lot with the people at home, but it's not the same when you're not physically there. So finding people who are physically here that make it feel like it's home was something that I struggled with in the beginning. But then when I started to see other people and then actively engage in the different communities, I found that there are actually people also going through the different things that I was going through as well. And it allowed me to connect with them and then form genuine connections. And now I'm very close friends with them. You can have calls, we meet up when we can. And I think that has really helped in terms of that feeling of, I wouldn't call it feeling, what's the right word for it? When you feel
isolation?
No, yes, there's isolation, but homesick.
Homesick, yeah, okay, yes, okay.
Homesick is the word I was looking for. So that feeling sort of goes away when you're around people that are with you. But I think the other thing for me that was hard to really understand when I got here was the culture. I wanted to piece what exactly that culture was as the nation of Canada, not as someone who's coming and just seeing different people from different parts giving in to their own. I wanted to understand what Canada's culture is, because through that then I'd understand why the Canadians do things the way they do, why they approach work the way they do. So I think that was challenging, because I wanted to understand that and I didn't really find it in the different places that I was looking. But because with that as well, you also understand, okay, this is why they work the way they work. This is why their businesses are like this. This is why their sports are like this. Right. So that was a bit hard to navigate. But then through the co-ops, I began to understand, okay, this is why they think like this. This is how they are. This is what they really feel about the different things. And now I think it's become a bit better. I do appreciate and acknowledge their culture and the way they do things. And I'm grateful for that.
And all of that. So my question to you now is, you said the co-op experience helped you to kind of understand, the culture a bit more. Was there anything specific about the experience? Was there anything you did in terms of maybe asking specific questions or reading resources in the organization? What exactly did you do? Or what happened that made you understand the culture a bit more during your co-op?
I'll take you back to intentionality. So because I wanted to know, I made sure that through all the different people that I met, I made mentors. So I asked many of them to become my mentors. I said, I would like you to become a mentor because I want to learn about X. So they would tell me, okay, yeah, let's do it. That now makes a connection for me, and I'm into their network that helps me understand more different things. So I made sure I asked lots of questions. I asked them, how comes you guys do things like this? Why are you approaching this like this? Why does my first co-op was with the university. I asked them, why are you approaching partnerships, international partnerships like this? Why are you going through this and this? And then I began to understand how they do business, why they think how they think. And that made me appreciate and say, okay, this makes sense. And then I start for the next different co-ops. I still did the same thing because I wanted to understand different perspectives on the same issue. And I could tell that it was the same throughout, but obviously the different experiences informed the different things. But the theme was the same throughout. It was different.
That is beautiful. And then it's like building blocks.
Exactly.
And then you're building upon that knowledge and building
exactly.
upon. Oh my! Am I permitted to say that I am in absolute awe of you? I love everything you're saying. Thank you. That's wonderful. Well done. Well done. You mentioned mentorships also. You mentioned asking questions, and you mentioned how mentorship kind of exposes you to the network of your mentors.
Yes.
Right. Which is a beautiful thing to identify. True. Right. Which takes us back again to intentionality. That's wonderful.
Exactly.
Thank you for sharing all of that. So moving on now to some of the challenges that we've had within the space. We have to confess really that because of our experience as skilled immigrants, parents were more into the career space and all of that. A lot of the people that we have connected with are people with similar backgrounds, which is why it's absolutely wonderful that we're having this conversation. And I just wanted to throw it out to you. Feel free to say no, we can identify. So in terms of that confidence piece, you already mentioned something with confidence actually, at the beginning. But in terms of that confidence piece in the space, in who you are in a new space, we get people saying that even though they were doing so well, like high flyers back home, once they get here, that confidence is out of the window. And then people are finding themselves in meetings and they go, I can't even talk, and things like that. So do you feel like, do you get, in your experience with other young people like you, do you get people reporting things like this in terms of finding their confidence and also the toll that can take on one's mental health? I was a high flyer. I was doing well. I could speak. What's happening to me now? Why can't I even express my thoughts, articulately, so can you identify with that? Do you know people around you who can identify with that? And what would you say to people going through that?
I know people around me that can identify to that. Maybe off script, I wanted to say that there's, I don't know if I should add this in, but one of my friends who wanted to be, she's graduating this year, she wanted to be valedictorian. But you have to apply and show, and then you have to go and speak. So she called me and said, Darren, there's this thing that came, but I don't know. So I told her, look, let's go through it. So I motivated. I said, hey, we can do it, blah, blah, blah. Then she said, okay, fine, let's do it. So we applied. I told her, let's just go through the process. You never know where it will go. We went through it. She applied. Then came to writing the speech. I remember I sat with her for 4 hours. We wrote the whole speech. And I said, go deliver the speech. She went, delivered, and she said, there were other people that were much better than me. I said, just believe, you never know. 3 days later, she sends me a message. I'm the valedictorian.
See? I have goosebumps.
I said, wow. She called me right when the email came. 2 minutes later, she called me and said, hey, I'm the valedictorian, and she was screaming on top of her voice. And I felt good because she's someone who, when she was back home, she's Ugandan, she would sing and she was out in all these different places. But when she came here, she took a while to adjust to it. So I was just wondering whether I should add that because she hasn't told anyone that she's the valedictorian.
Yeah.
But that I think would be a good story, but I don't want to.
No, it's okay. You can confirm from her.
Yeah.
You didn't mention her name, but you can confirm from her if we can add that to. That I think that's a remarkable story.
I think it is, yeah.
There's so many pieces to pick from that.
Many.
The power of, when we're dealing with, you answered the question in terms of how to deal with that already.
Exactly.
Because, not keeping it to yourself, talking to somebody who can be trusted. And in this case, it was you. And then motivating one another.
there.
You know, and then just trying. You never know where it leads. Just try, just give it your absolute best. And then you never know what could happen. I'm so happy for your friend.
I'm also happy for her. She's the first Ugandan valedictorian in the history of the university. So it's good for her.
That is beautiful. It is good for us.
For everyone.
For everyone. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow, that's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. I hope we get a permission to share.
I think actually I'm going to ask her today and see if you can leave it in the shop.
Yeah, and we're not launching until May 25. I don't know if...
Oh, I think that might be good. Yeah, I'll just confirm with her and I think that'll be good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a beautiful story to share because there's so much to pick from that. Thank you.
No problem.
I love it. Oh my! Did you love that?
It was good.
Love it. Yeah, it was great. It was a great example of, just reaching out to community. And from our work in season 1 up until now, we've had community so many times, so many times. The power of community. Also, connecting with the right people, because she could have connected with somebody else who would say, "Oh, are you sure you're ready for that?
It's too big.
It's too big. They're not going to take you anyway. You're black, you're new, you're this, you're that." And then that opportunity passes by. But she connected with the right person who was able to push her and sit with her to work on it. And then look at the joy. Look at the joy. And we tend to underestimate the power of these little things, right?
Yeah, that's true.
But guess what? I just introduced you to my son and my daughter. They could watch that on TV and they go, oh. And then when it's time for them to go to university or maybe apply for something in their school, they're not thinking I can't apply or it's not for me. They're not even considering that it's not for them.
Exactly.
They think it's okay. That's the power of diverse stories and diverse representation. So it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Okay. So I think are there any other suggestions you'd like to share?
I think that's a good way to go.
It's a wonderful one. Okay. Okay. So the next thing is if you could offer any piece of advice to your new, I don't say immigrant because I know you're an international student. Okay, so your new international student self, when you first arrived in Canada, what would it be? Like if you could turn back the hands of time and say something to yourself.
I'd say 3 things. One is be patient. I recently wrote a blog on obviously adjusting to living in a different country. So I think being patient is very important and allowing yourself to go through the process and not rushing it, because different things will come up. There'll be different people that will support you. And that leads me to the second point, which is be intentional about building strong networks and strong people around you that will inspire you, that will motivate you, that will wake you up and say, hey, there's this opportunity, why don't you give it a shot? There is this, why don't we go try it out? From both the fun aspect, but also the intentional aspect in terms of how can we get to where we want to go. And then the third thing that I think is crucial is allowing yourself to be open to different things, be open-minded and say, okay, I'm in a new country. Yes, it's going to be different in terms of culture, in terms of the people. I need to be open-minded to embrace this new change and to embrace this new environment that I'm in, and to learn from the different things that will come up, and not having this preconceived assumption of, okay, I'm coming to Canada, it's going to be heavenly. There are going to be jobs everywhere. There's going to be everything. But obviously, things might happen like that for some people, but it doesn't happen like that for everyone. So being open to that and understanding that there are real things that are happening in these different places, and acknowledging that, I think is good, and being realistic about different things.
I think you shared 4.
Okay, I think that's the 4th one. Be realistic.
Yeah, and there are 4 powerful points actually. I think also something everybody can relate with: being patient, being intentional, especially about building those networks, strong networks.
Exactly.
A lot of people have said when you come to the country, you really, really have to be intentional and careful with the people you connect with.
Exactly.
Are they positive people? Are they negative people? If it's negative, I often say, do not walk away. Do not run away. Fly away. Fly like your life depends on it, because your life actually depends on it. Don't walk, don't run, fly, disappear.
So you don't believe that if you're a good person, and maybe you're found, I don't want to call them bad or negative people, you don't think that you have the influence and the power to change that person into...
That's a wonderful perspective. But the challenge is, because maybe now when I'm in a bit more of a comfortable space in terms of what I want to do in my career, in my journey, I might be able to entertain that. I have the mental stamina to withstand it because I've seen what can work for me, what can happen for me, right, in terms of what I want to do. So in my specific case now, what the things I wanted to do were crazy things. It didn't make sense. I wanted to do training and consulting. I wanted to run my business in Canada. It didn't make sense because a lot of the people that I know were not doing any of those things, right? I couldn't even really see a lot of people doing that. Even in terms of business, so it didn't make any sense. And even I was doubting myself. The only thing that kept me going was faith, that, okay, this is not something just from my head, it's faith. I'm being pushed by a higher force, and this force is behind me. So no matter how many mistakes I make, this force is behind me, and it's telling me, keep going. That was the only thing. So I could not risk negativity. I was in a very fragile spot. But maybe now, when things are a bit more settled, I can try to convince you. But in those initial stages, I cannot. So you need to know what you have, right? So in that case, I didn't have the mental stamina to be able to, withstand that much negativity. So I say to other people, if you're new, I don't think you would have that mental stamina to be able to withstand that level of negativity, especially if it's consistent. It's like banging on the wall. You keep banging and banging, and if you bang for long enough, it's going to come down. Right? So, especially if it's a fragile wall. So I would run away initially, and then maybe later I would... I'll give myself the life jacket first, and then
pass it on to the next.
I'll pass it on after. Yeah. But that's an interesting perspective to have. Thank you for bringing that up. Thank you. Okay, now it's time for a mystery activity.
No problem.
Okay, so we're done with the serious part of the interview. Yeah, and I don't know if you got a chance to look at this, but it's just basically picking a number from 1 to 14. I have a list of tasks here, and you will need to pick a number from 1 to 14. Whatever number you pick, I will read what the task is to you, and you will have to do it.
No problem.
Okay.
As long as there's no singing, that's the only thing.
There is singing. Now,
can we remove that one at least? And give me 1 to 13. Okay. Let's see if you will not pick singing. Okay, so from 1 to 14, which number would you like to pick? I'll go with 12.
12. Okay. Oh, okay. It's a book review. So please give a 1-minute review of a book you recently read and enjoyed.
Okay, let me just think. Book review. It's a good book I'm reading right now, but no, I think it would be best to give one that I've recently read. There's Wink and Grow Rich. Great book.
Really? Wink
and Grow Rich.
Interesting.
It's a great book. Just a small recap of what the book essentially is about. It's about this young boy who was staying with his father, and it was a long time ago. So essentially, what it was, they used to fetch water from a well, but now after a while, that well there was no water anymore. The water resource had depleted. So this young boy, the father was obviously all really tired. He said, "I can't walk all the way to the other side to get the water that we need for the home." So this boy decided, you know what, I need to find a way in which I can do this. So it is just a series of him connecting with different people that eventually lead him to that new well. So essentially the goal was for him to go, get his bucket, go to that well, long journey to that well. Instead, what he did is he went and asked a lady who was the one who was going to give him a book. The bucket, sorry. So they gave him the bucket, but she told him, here is a book and a pen, and the next person I'm going to send you to will be able to guide you onto the next path towards going to that bucket. So I don't remember exactly how many people he met, but I know he met, I think it was about 10 to 12 different people that just told him that something about what they were doing. So he met a gardener, then he met someone who was rowing the boats. He met different people on his journey, and each of them was teaching him what they did, and he was writing down the lessons he was learning from each of these different people and building on his knowledge. So by the time he got back to fetch the water, he had come up with a solution in which they can just easily get water to their home rather than making the trek down to get water. So from that book, I learned one key thing is that the people you connect yourself to have the power to link you to the next person who will make your life much easier in the different things that you're doing. And I think it's a great book to
I think it's a beautiful
to go and read. It's not long, it's a very short book. I think it's about 100 pages. Great book, and there are many different lessons at each chapter of each person that he met, and he's just writing, taking notes, just from one person all the way full circle to now saying, hey dad, we can find a way of even selling this water to the other people in the community. So it's a really good book. I would recommend highly.
Wow, that's beautiful. That is amazing. I love how, it just speaks to some of the things that we hear about when you're going through a journey. It might be a painful process, but you're becoming somebody on that journey.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
You're becoming somebody in that process. And that person is the person you need to be for your next level, for your next step, right?
Exactly.
So it's absolutely beautiful. Okay, so there's just two more activities for us to do. One is for us to for you to share a word of encouragement or inspiration for a newcomer out there.
I think just one word, or
no, like a sentence, something.
Okay, my bad. So a word of inspiration I would say is to whoever is sort of going to a different country or to study, or whether you're immigrating, I think the key thing that I would say to them is find your purpose. But the only way to find your purpose is if, I like this quote very much. The quote goes, you will not be distracted by comparison if you're captivated with purpose.
Oh my God.
And that quote has sort of guided me and led me to different things. And I would like to say that for the people who come and feel like, I can't make it in this new country. I can't do X, Y, and Z because I'm new, I'm different, I look different. I think the one thing that has been instrumental to me in my journey is finding my purpose and understanding what it is I think I have to offer with the time I've been given here. At a very young age, I know it has the potential to change going forward because I'm only 21 and there's room for a lot of change in the future. But I think for now and where I am now, I think that purpose has been solidified, and understanding it and feeding into that purpose has allowed me to be confident in how I would approach different things, be unapologetic about the different things that I say and do, and have that steadfast understanding of what needs to be done in order for us to achieve the purpose. So to whoever is coming, I think it's key to find your purpose and understand the reason as to why you're doing what you're doing, because through that you won't have any of these feelings of comparison, because it says in the Bible, comparison is the thief of joy. And so through all those different things, I think it's important that once you have that, you found your purpose, it's easier to navigate the different things that you do. So I hope that does inspire someone to go out there and try something, because and maybe the other thing that I'd like to say as well is that when people see me now, young, old, my age, is they think that, he has everything figured out. But it's not the case. And obviously, the only way that I have clarity right now is because of the focus that we had when we were starting out, and really understanding that we need to be able to get this done. We need to go out there, and regardless of the external noise coming in, if you really believe in something and you have found your purpose in that something, regardless of what people say and regardless of who rejects you and says no, I think you will continuously find a way of making sure it happens if you truly believe in yourself and in the idea that you have set out, or in whatever it is that you're doing. So
absolutely. I lied to you. I know I said we had just two more activities. And I know I also need to get somewhere, but I have to ask you this. Number one, how would you describe your purpose, and how did you find it?
How did I find it? Through trial and error. And through the
by doing.
Yes, by doing. And also by connecting with different people and learning and just trying to understand what works, what doesn't work, and then that feeds back into the trial and error. But I think I've also had a great support system. Great support system starting from my parents to my siblings to then the aunties and uncles that I'm with, and then my different friends. I think they have really helped me understand what that purpose essentially is. Now, when you ask how would I describe that purpose, I think that purpose for me is two things: to inform and inspire. I inform through telling the different things that I've been involved in, and then to inspire hopefully through the way that I'm informing the different people that may be listening or reading the different things that or actively watching. For me, it's about how do I inform, and then how do I inspire through the work that I'm doing.
So that's like the underlying thing in everything that you do, right?
Underlying thing, inform and inspire.
Inspiring. Wow, that's easy. Thank you for sharing that.
No problem.
I have so many more things to ask you. One of them being, how did you become like this?
That is again trial and error, but also experience. Good parents behind my back.
I really wish I could talk to your mom right now, because I have young children. I'm thinking I need to get some of the tools that they have.
Yeah, I think they obviously they're very traditional, but my dad is more forward thinking. Like he's more acceptable of different things. My mom's very strict. My mom's very strict, but that balance is good. I speak to my dad whenever I go back home, almost every day, and just have like 30 minutes a day, or when he comes home, I just tell him, this is what we did today, this is who said no to this proposal, this is who I'm going to propose to tomorrow, and he'll just say, oh, that's interesting, why don't you approach it like this, why don't you do it like this? Wow. Just conversations. And then with my mom, it is, we're friends, like that's my friend. I can tell her, hey, this guy left me, or hey, this and this is happening. So it's a good relationship that I have with them and my siblings as well. They're always asking me, how do you do this? How do you do this? So I make sure that I tell them the truth, honestly, how things are happening, because they do get inspired, and I also get inspired by the work that they do, because they're very talented individuals as well.
That's wonderful. Are you the first?
I'm the firstborn, yes.
Wow, thank you for sharing. I've learned a lot from this conversation. So we're just gonna, the last activity we have now, it's called the 100-second question spree. Okay. So I'm going to set a timer for 1 minute and 40 seconds. Okay. And you will need to try to answer as many questions as possible. No. So the questions are quite straightforward. You can answer in one word or one sentence, basically. If you feel like it's going to take you too much time to answer, or you don't want to answer that question, just tell me to skip and I'll ask you the next question. Okay. So just go there. Oh, you do not know how much you have inspired me today. So your purpose is being fulfilled. To inform and to inspire.
That's it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh, thank you.
So are these one word answers like yes, no, him, this, that?
Yeah, or you just pick one thing from a series of things. Yeah. Okay. So the timer starts now. Movies, music, or games?
Music.
What's the title of the book you're currently reading?
Unreasonable Hospitality.
What's your favorite Canadian fast food brand?
Ooh, Canadian. I'll just go Tim Hortons.
Okay. One word to summarize your Canadian journey so far.
Tumultuous.
Tumultuous, wow. Okay. 3 things in your mental wellness toolkit.
Ooh, friends, music again, and football.
Okay. One aspect of your culture that you're always proud to share.
The way we greet.
Okay. One myth you'd like to debunk about Black African, maybe immigrants or international students?
That we are only talented artists.
One resource you wish you had when you first arrived in Canada?
Financial planning.
What's the first thing you do in the face of challenging situations?
Sit back and understand why I'm in that situation.
What's one aspect of the Canadian culture that you've embraced since immigrating?
The kindness.
What's an unexpected community resource that's been a game changer for you?
Mentorship? Is that a way? I think mentorship, yeah.
Yeah. So finish the sentence. We can embrace our cultural differences by...
Research.
One thing you wish you knew before moving to Canada?
The heritage of the heritage of the actual Canadians.
Okay, the indigenous people.
The indigenous people, yes.
Oh, right. Okay, thank you. You did so well. 12 questions. No. 13 questions, actually. That's good. Wonderful. And those were so articulately answered. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you so much for being here.
This was fun. I enjoyed it very much. And I hope Rising Strong, is it a show or podcast?
It's a video series.
Okay. Rising Strong as a video series continues to grow and support different, is it just for Black people or it's for
Black African people?
Yeah, for different Black African people across Canada. Yeah, looking forward to seeing it when it comes out. Thank you again for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. I have been so inspired by you, by your journey, by your depth, by your intentionality, by everything you stand for. Thank you very much.
Thank you too. It's been an honor.
We're absolutely proud of you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay. Hi everyone. My name is Darren Harry Baine. I am a Ugandan international student at the University of Waterloo. I'm studying biology in the bioinformatics option. I am the founder of the Young Guy Initiative, which is an initiative meant to represent the needs, interests, and aspirations of young people. We have 3 arms to this: the Young Guy Foundation, a nonprofit aimed at improving the livelihood of children, particularly in Uganda right now, but hopefully we do grow to the entirety of Africa. We also have the Young Guy International, which is a podcast aimed at creating a socially connected world. Please do go listen to it, watch on YouTube. It would be great. We have different guests speaking to their different journeys, essentially informing us about how they got to where they got to with the different experiences that they've been through. And then Young and Restless, which is our new child. It is essentially a youth networking sort of space platform that allows young people to talk about and network on different things that they are passionate about. We do have a series of events coming up soon, and so please stay informed. Please follow all these different accounts, and the teams that run these different organizations are great people. I'm inspired by them and I'm grateful to them. I want to thank them for being on this journey with me and hope that we continue to inspire you. Thank you.